I'll walk you through it.
This is a modular?
This is a manufactured home on a permanent foundation.
You don't normally stage your properties, do you?
I stage flips. If I put it on MLS,
Okay.
it's worth a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
I've always had, they always sell faster and
For more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like staging.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a believer in staging.
Yeah, 8%.
Yeah, it's legit. I think this was $2,500. We just wanted to be better than the neighbors. No, I'll walk you through the numbers. Okay, so here's the numbers on this. So, this is a 5.3. So it's the largest, cheapest home that I could get for manufacturer. So you can see it's got the cheapest light fixtures, the cheapest flooring, the cheapest countertops. Those are paneling on the walls as opposed to drywall, okay? Because this is a really shitty neighborhood, but it's in the best school districts. Okay, so it's really interesting because you got a brand new high school just on the turnaround right by here. Single family homes around 400,000 to 600,000 over here. The stick-built condos that we have listed on the market, I have them listed for about $340, literally 2 blocks away. Okay, 3 blocks away. And so if single family homes are 4 to 6, condos are mid to high 3s. The question mark that I had in this neighborhood is, if you put a brand new home in here, what are you going to get for it? Because if you look at the street, it's an absolute shithole. And this neighborhood is unique because they allowed any single wide, any double wide, any trailer, any manufactured home, they allowed that when they developed this subdivision back in the 70s. And so there was zero zoning as to what they were allowed to put on their homes. You could have bought a lot and put an RV in. It's not like it wasn't a common owned trailer park. They were individual lots with no zoning requirements, and so everybody just put trailers on. They didn't have to be permanent foundations. They could be on. You could see that in the street. So I bought the previous double wide on a non-permanent foundation for about $70,000. Cleaned that home off for $10,000. So I'm into the lot about $80,000. My cost on the home was about, I want to say it was like $100,000 for just the home. So 1,800 square feet at $100,000, my price per square foot was what? Because it was $97,000 was my dealer cost on the home.
On this one?
Yeah, $54 a foot.
Oh, wow.
That was my cost on the home, was $54 a foot for the home. But then I had, I had to transport it, I had to set it, I had to put a permanent foundation in, which is like $20,000 bucks. I had to put driveway and sidewalks in. I had to put, what else did we do? The utilities, we saved on utilities because there were existing utilities, but then I had to pay connection fees for the new one. I want to say I'm into this probably $230 to $240. So we started it at $330, I think. We just barely finished the driveway and the sidewalk in the last couple of weeks. Like, I just took a picture of the front yard. I need to level that out and get that cleaned up. So my plan is, but I have no idea what the market value is going to be. Because there is no such thing in this area of town that's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. That doesn't exist. But there's no comps for this. Now, my rule of thumb is I'd like to make 20 to 25% net on a flip on MLS. But I would almost have to sell it for that today, right? Because if I sell it for $300 and you take, commissions and closing costs, that means I net like maybe $270 to $280. I'm only gonna make 30 or 40 grand. I only make like 10%. Okay. So I know that if it gets down to $300,000 over the next couple of weeks and I don't sell it, then I'm going to make it into a pass book. Because if you change it into a pass book, well, that changes all the numbers because all I got to do is turn this into a bedroom, and now I have a 6'3", and maybe I get $175 a week for the master because it's got a private bathroom, and then the other 5 tenants share these 2 bathrooms. Maybe at $150 a week. You got 2 parking spots in the driveway. I can do 4 more back here. Just gravel the whole yard and make it all parking. Obviously, there's no code issues. There's no licensing. look at the neighbors' properties. Okay. And so there's a really high demand for rentals here in this area because it's a great school district, because this is the nicest side of town. This is just a weird neighborhood. Now, at $4,000 a month, I have a ton of clients that would buy this brand new home for $325, because the cap rate would probably be 9 on a brand new home. I think if interest rates were 5.5, I think this thing sells easily for $350, $370. And so I'm not too concerned about the money that I have in it. I'm actually really concerned about what the market value is today for this. Let's say I get a bunch of offers at $285. Okay, that's good to know. That means that when I send a postcard to everyone else on the street and in the neighborhood, I just make sure that I don't pay more than like 40 or 50K for those other lots. Then it changes what I think is a good deal in this neighborhood. But this is an example of how imprecise investing is. And why I also would never build a business just on flipping. Because imagine if I had 10 of these stacked up and I had borrowed the money for it. That's really bad. That's where people go bankrupt, house flippers. I'm super intrigued with what this could do as a pad split, what the market value of this is going to be. But market value changes based on interest rates, and we've all seen that as well. Questions?
You said postcards. Does that mean you're doing direct mail to this area? Is that how you located this?
This was listed on MLS, but I would probably deal machine everybody else. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you pad split this, does the high school, the fact that this is a good school district, wouldn't impact that at all?
Not unless I did a shared room on that.
Looking for that with the rest of the rooms.
Yeah, because none of them will be, yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't matter. Unless you're divorced, Dad, and you were living over here and you want to stay close to your kids. Then it would matter.
That seems like a small market.
You'd be surprised.
True in this neighborhood.
Other questions?
Is this neighborhood C class?
Yeah, this immediate neighborhood, but this vicinity neighborhood is A. So this is the shithole pocket of streets. I think there's like 120 of these lots. And then nothing else is like that. As you drive out, you'll see that. It's very unique. So there's a way to make money in this immediate neighborhood. I just got to figure it out.
It's 20%.
What's that?
So 20% that sucks right now.
Yeah, I just don't know, We've had a couple of showings, good feedback. A couple of people mentioned they wanted a garage. Most of them mentioned price. So at some point, if I change the listing tomorrow to 100,000, because it's on Zillow right now, if I drop it to 100K, I get infinite offers. I'm getting nothing at 323. So you just don't want to be too knee-jerk about it. So it's very interesting. But then from this, then this becomes a really valuable data point that I can work backwards on. But since I haven't done a pad split like this, and we're looking at doing the development, I mean, this is like a version of what we're thinking of doing with that pad split development I showed you yesterday. So part of me is almost more interested in putting it as a, I feel bad for the realtor, but part of me just wants to get it on pad split as a 6-bedroom to make sure that I can lease up pretty quick at $150 a week. That's a way more valuable data point from a development standpoint than what I can get. Because I like doing MLS flips, but I would never build a whole business around it. Interest rates, market demand, fickle buyers. I never like more than about 5% of my business to be MLS, retail, Zillow flips. Yeah. Any other questions?
Just to make sure I understand, you bought this outside of MLS?
Yeah.
But now it's selling
So, well-
to MLS?
Well, I have a dealer. No, I developed to this.
Right.
So I used my dealership to buy this for $97,000.
And this was, sorry, I came late, this was a old, in between construction.
Yeah. So if you bring up Google Maps, you can see what was here before. Because I just bought this lot back in October.
And how much did you spend on this last part?
So I spent $70 for the previous property, $10 to clean it off, The home at my dealer cost was $100,000, which if you walk into any Fleetwood dealership in the country, they would quote this $150,000 to $200,000. Because that's $54 a foot is what I paid for this home. And then I have the foundation. So my total basis on this is right about 2.25, 230, 240.
You not have your own real estate company?
We have a brokerage in Indianapolis. We have a brokerage in North Carolina. Nicole's a broker. Travis's wife is a broker. We have a broker in Missouri, but I don't have a brokerage here. I would rather use the brokerage I work with. We're actually so the owners in that brokerage are my partners on the development project. They own the half acre. So I've used brokerages and listings as like a strategic relationship. They only focus on homeowners, buying and selling homeowners. And so since we're not set up as that, even in Indianapolis, a lot of times I'll outsource MLS listings to a broker. Especially, it goes back to the specialization thing.
Cost of doing business and building relationships?
Yeah, and finding someone who's specialized, because I've passed the broker's test in California, North Carolina, Indiana, and Missouri. So as we moved into those markets initially, you had to be a broker to do property management. Idaho doesn't require you to be a broker to do property management, and so I never got my broker's license here. But this was our first dealership, so I had to get my dealer's license here, which was funny because they don't have a class or anything. And so when I went to take the dealer's exam, I thought I would just fail it and then study afterwards, because they gave you this big study guide. But it was open book. So knowing nothing, I passed the dealer's exam on the first try. And so I'm a dealer that knows nothing about how to set a home, what code is, because then I always pay guys to do it. And so it's interesting because what should you learn? What should you specialize in? You know, how many of you are handy? Who knows how to operate a paint sprayer? Completely worthless skill set. Okay. Knowing how to do construction is $50 an hour work, and if you're using that, you're wasting your time. And so anybody, if you're an attorney, if you know construction, if you are a CPA, those I have found will all be skill sets that actually slow you down, because you won't be able to not do it for your own real estate business. And those are all $50, $75 an hour skills, and you need to be focused on $500 to $1,500 an hour skills. And so that's the whole working in your business and not working on your business. And people always get sucked in to their business, and I religiously stay out of it. So recently I was at the office one day and we had some Hispanic tenants come through. And does anybody have an Android phone with WhatsApp on it?
Yeah.
So WhatsApp, Google Translate with Android is insane, because you can activate Google Translate inside of WhatsApp, and in real time I can read something in Spanish and it'll translate it to English for them, or vice versa. It works insanely well. It doesn't work, they don't have that functionality yet on iPhone. And so they were signing their lease and they had a bunch of questions, and so I WhatsApped them, even though I speak Spanish. Long story short, they started messaging me about tenant stuff. So, hey, we couldn't get the gas hooked up, and I literally blocked them on WhatsApp, even though it was my house they were living in, because I pay a manager, and I don't want them to task me. And because they went to the manager, like, hey, we were talking to Aaron, and then he disappeared. So I found that I'm very, very, very selfish, that I don't get sucked into my business and end up working in my business. It's a really important thing to think about, because I'd love to do a reality show where I follow an entrepreneur and point out all the ways they're working for less than $1,500 an hour every day, and they don't think about what they should be offloading. So if you're still mowing your lawn and it's anything other than exercise, that's your problem, Get the neighbor kid, even though he doesn't do as good of a job. Any other questions about this one? Okay, so next we're going to go to a park that I don't own, and look at a home that I just put in there to flip. So it's just a single wide. Okay, let's go.